Alrighty, how's everyone doing? Haven't seen y'all in a while. Let's see, Rocky, hello. We got Rocky. Marty said, hey, first. Guess what? We've got Marty here in the waiting room. Marty's going to be joining us. And we've got another guest, Caleb. First time I've met him, but if you guys check out the chat, his channel is going to be pinned up at the top. So you can go check out his channel. I want to say hello to, let's see who all was here. Little Garden and Prairie. How are you doing? Troy, Tim. Who else came in here? Everybody say hey, say where you're from. Kevin, how are you doing? TM Bushcrafter, how are you? Good evening. And Giselle. And hello to everybody. If I forget, if I can't, don't see you in the chat. And the chat's lagging a little, so if I miss you, just chime in again and I'll say hello. But I'm going to be bringing in a couple of people. Let me see. All right. All right. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about plastics. And I just played that intro and I said, tell me what you all see in there. And I just wanted you to show nice blue lights. Cool. Thanks. I want to show you guys the extent of how much like plastics are used in like agriculture, not just like hydroponics, but people don't really realize, because a lot of people come on and just say, like, oh, it's plastics because we had a little fear of, the water bottles a little while ago. And they really don't realize that all of their normal produce, how much of it actually does have plastic involved. And that's why I showed a lot of those. And I can put it up a little later. We can go through it. But let's see, I sent my parents some of your videos. My mom and dad building a green. Awesome. Appreciate it. They're in their 80s. Oh, wow. That's cool. Let's see. Doing marvelous. Awesome. That's cool. Hello from, is it Saskatchewan? Awesome. And who else do we have? Illinois. First time. Oh, this is first time here. Awesome. Glad to have you here. I have to watch. Yeah, no problem, Troy. We'll catch you later. Appreciate it. I'm going to pop our guest in here real quick so we can get started. Let's see. First, I'll have Caleb.
There we go.
Hey, Caleb. Let me pop this little, put our names on here and so they can tell who you are. And pop that off. And what's the name of your channel?
Simple Greens Hydroponics.
Simple Greens Hydroponics. I think I've got that here somewhere. There we go. Is it with an S? Did I misspell that?
Yeah, Simple Greens Hydroponics.
Let me see if I can redo that real quick. Drop an S in it. Still got growing. But yeah, if you want to tell people a little bit about like how you got into hydroponics, how long you've been doing it, why you like growing like that.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we live in Wisconsin, and a couple years ago, we trying to eat a little bit healthier. So naturally, you buy a lot more produce, and one of the frustrating things we always had with lettuce is you buy lettuce. Then, 3 days later, if you leave it in the fridge, sometimes it goes bad, especially depending on the quality of the lettuce you buy. And so if you're trying to just go to the grocery store once a week or whatever, you have to go just to get the lettuce. So we thought there's got to be a better way where we can grow lettuce all the time and have it always available. So you obviously can't do that outside here in Wisconsin because 5 months of the year there's snow on the ground sometimes.
Yeah.
So we got into hydroponics. I built some rail systems where I could grow all year round. I kind of worked at making them more efficient. And then about a year ago, some of our friends wanted to build a system like we had. They saw what we had, and so I decided to make a website, made a couple videos about how to do it, and then that's kind of how I got to where we are now.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's like you said, you get lettuce and not only lettuce, like kale, all your leafy greens and that, and cilantro and everything. I mean, you get it,
Yeah.
you use a little and it gets pushed to the back of the fridge and you end up throwing it in your compost pile. I told my wife I feel like I'm like throwing my money into the compost.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's awesome. Isn't it awesome just having it just sitting there and you go and you just pick what you need. and you use that, and the rest of it still grows. It's just it's an awesome little system.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna pop Marty in here real quick. We got Marty from Marty's Garden. Are you ready, Marty, or not yet? Okay, let me give Marty just a minute, couple minutes there. Evening. Hey, how are you doing? Awesome. Got some cool people in here. The reason why I brought Caleb on is we were talking. I had some videos, and you guys know that you probably see comments once in a while, and some of them, if they're like real, just trying to scare people and they have no science to back it up, I just erase it. So it's because if they put a study or anything, and I've looked into it for a while, and Caleb has too, and we just want to let everyone know too, we're not really giving like a definitive yes no answer this that. We're going to give you like our opinion on everything. Caleb actually did a water test, and that's what we're going to be talking about. He actually took the water from his hydroponics, sent it in, and had it tested. I think I've got that video link besides his whole channel. I've got his video to that one video link down below too. So if you guys want to check that out and see more in detail, we'll talk about it a little bit. But let me see. Chickens love greens. Yeah. Have a gorgeous Scotch bonnet. Frank. Oh, awesome. 100 peppers. That's cool. They have lots of stuff going on. I'm telling them they should have a channel going. You want to tell them a little bit about what the water test is and then where you sent it into, and what that was all about?
Yeah. So I had done quite a bit of research beforehand, looking at what are the potential contaminants that could leach out of PVC. So I mainly use PVC at this point. I make rail systems using PVC. And so I looked at what are the potential contaminants that could come out of PVC, or what are the ones that people are worried about. So then I found a company, it's called Simple Lab, where you can take a water sample, send it in, and they'll test it for a wide variety of different contaminants. And so I went with that. I waited until, so for changing my nutrient solution, I have a cycle that I do. So I waited as long as possible so that if there was any contaminants that were leaching out, they'd have, as much time as possible to come out and be present in the water. So then after that time, I took the sample, I sent it in, and then I got the results. So I don't know if you want to talk about the results right away or.
Yeah, we'll pop Marty in here in a couple of minutes too. We'll talk a little bit about, like he said, he had talked or knows of like one professor did a couple of studies, and what do you call it? Let me see if I can pop your video up here too. And Marty, you about ready? Yes. There we go. How long was that time?
It was over, I think it was around 2.5 weeks since I had last done a water change, which is the max of what I do with the systems I have. So I figured that was worst case scenario.
Right. There we go. Hey, how you doing, Marty?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Hello, everyone. And yeah, awesome to be here. Exciting. This is an exciting piece of content. I'm stoked to be here, be a part of it.
Awesome, cool. Thanks. Keely dropped your channel name. I'll come back afterwards. I didn't know if you were coming on because I just asked Marty. We spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't really plan, so I just said, hey, you want to pop on and talk with us too? So I'll get your link down in the description down there below a little while, Marty. But,
no rush, mate. Look, I was out surfing. I said I mightn't be coming in because the waves are pumping this week, and I just made it back in time.
Yeah, so Marty was just out there surfing in Australia.
Yeah, with the sharks.
With the great whites.
Yeah, shark season at the moment.
Yeah. Marty, what's your thoughts on the plastic net before we get into like the results of the test that Caleb did?
very interesting. I'd like to, just sort of put my, not only my opinions, but I've learnt and seen over time. Now, my background really is organics, right? So, and, that's what I studied when I studied agribusiness. It was one of my majors, avocados, organics, horticulture. I did too many, and Australian native foods. But, organics has always been my thing. And I've had a friend in overseas, and he's in Europe, and he's in Belgium, and his name is Willem van Cottem. Now, he was very hugely followed in Facebook before everything become really big. He's the guy that was getting millions of views and things like that. Big guy, right. Willem van Cottem. So double T-H-E-M is how you spell his last name. And he created the bottle garden, the bottle tower. And it was invented for going down into Africa, where they had a lot of, obviously very poor, but they had a lot of plastic lying around. And he invented this tower. It's a vertical tower, and you can do it. You can do it hydroponic. You can do it with soil. They were basically just getting soil out of the ground, putting cuttings in it, and growing plants. Now, he got hammered for years on this subject, right? And so he's removed his content from his website because people have just hit him so hard. He's tired. He's a retired old man. He's had enough. Yeah. So, but he did because he was involved at the university. He's a professor. He's an intelligent guy. And I've had conversations with him, and he sent me all the reports and everything of all the tests that went through the labs in the uni, and they were using the bottled waters from the bottle tower to see if any of the residues went into the plants. What they found was the plants would not uptake any residue of what they didn't want. So even though it may exist in there in times and sometimes be in the water from old plastics and things, the plant still wasn't uptaking it. It's not something that they take up as a nutrient. A plant in the organics will talk to the soil, to the soil web, to what it wants and needs at that time. And in a different solution, say a pot, we're feeding some type of nutrient. The plant can uptake it through the water, whatever it wants, but it will still only uptake what it needs. And this is what they found. And that's really what I want to share, like in the first part of it. Obviously, there's more because I've really been looking deeply into this the last few weeks. So, yeah, that's my first spiel. And people can look it up, the bottle tower on Willem van Cottem, and maybe even make a hydroponic system like that as well. Yeah, using those bottles.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those videos. It's pretty cool. Now, we had what was the other thing that they did? Kind of like crowdsourced window farms.
Yeah.
And everybody was using like the bottles and hanging them in the windows and having drip irrigation through it and that. And then they put that design on the web and said, you go and try and experiment. So everyone would do that and share it and try to find what worked better. But, there's loads of people. And like what we were showing before too, the amount of plastic that's in just ordinary agriculture, like people go, oh, I would never eat, that, it's grown in plastic. They have no idea how much farmers use that. It's actually become a problem where they have recycling programs because farmers were going through like the plastic that they just cover the ground with now, instead of, going through and weeding in that, they cover with plastic, and it's like single use stuff. And so you can imagine like acres of plastic sheeting, and then they pull it all up and throw it, to landfill. So now they're starting recycling because they actually, one of the little clips that I showed in the beginning here was, it said plastic culture or something.
Yeah.
And that's what they're calling plastic in agriculture, that there's so many different things that they use it for, and us, drinking. So, yeah. So
there's many more ways that we need to be concerned about, other than what we're sort of with the growing medium in. The plastics are obviously getting better and better. Now, there's something else that's going to be replacing plastic soon, and maybe later on we'll talk about that. But for the time being, I think, like we're really looking at plastics. Like there's a strawberry garden, tomatoes up the road. It's hydroponics. Occasionally I'll go and get some old recycled cocoa peat from there. Now they've got these big, long bricks that run along, and the cocoa fiber's all inside, and it's one-use plastic. When I go pick it up to use it to recycle it, the plastic's all falling apart, So and people that are buying tomatoes off the shelf. Well, up the road here where I am, hey, that's the hydroponic medium's going into the cocoa fiber, and there's all this plastic that's breaking around. But I'm sure by the time it's starting to break down, it's gone. But, no one mentions anything about that. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's bigger things to worry about, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyway, what's your thoughts on it, Caleb?
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking is a lot of, at least with PVC, a lot of the water supplies we have are coming through PVC. So I was talking to a couple friends who do work with municipal water distribution, and he said that's the primary thing they use is PVC because it's the best material that they found. If there's other options, but a lot of them have disadvantages, either corrosion or they can hold bacteria if they have pitting going on or things like that. So I think even if you're trying to avoid PVC or avoid plastic in gardening, but then you're drinking water coming out of pipes that went right through plastic, then that's something else to consider, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to tell them a little bit about your findings in that, the tests that they had done?
Yeah. So there seem to be two primary concerns people had with PVC, and the first one was, claims about it causing cancer or things like that. And most of those seem to stem from additives that are added to PVC to make it a stable material. So that could be lead. I think barium is another one. So I did one water test that looked for those. It didn't find, there was no lead present in the water at all. Barium was such a tiny amount. It was like 1/1000th of the allowable level. And I think the other two, there wasn't any either. So I didn't find any. There was nothing of concern as far as cancer-causing compounds that were released from the PVC. Then the other concern that you'll see a lot with plastics is phthalates. Mm-hmm. That's the weirdly spelled word that starts with PH, but it's pronounced phthalates. So with those, there's a lot of debate about those. They're all over the place, and there's a lot of debate about what effects they have on our bodies and things, as well as whether they're pulled up by the plants like we were talking about before. But the water test I did tested for a whole bunch of different phthalates, and it didn't find a single one, not even a measurable amount. So the test results were really good. I had no concerns after that.
Well, awesome. Cool. And how much did that cost?
Total, it was around $500 US dollars.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not something you just want to do all the time.
Right. But this isn't like it wasn't like a test, like, like people come around and say, I want to test your water, and they're telling you all this crazy stuff's in it because they want to sell you water filters for your whole house. And that, it's not like a simple test like that. You actually took it and sent it off to the company and told them the different things that you wanted them to look for, and that you could
right
different groups of things.
Yeah. They have different options of different things that they can test for. And as far as I know, that's the thing they do is test water. So they're not trying to upsell me to something else based on the results. So,
right.
Yeah.
So that's, and like we said, guys, we're kind of sharing stuff that we've done and things that, I've looked into a lot. And like I said, if I could find any, study and not just, some little group somewhere did a study, like a peer based and it was backed up and tested again, I would share that with people. But I haven't really found anything. I think, Caleb, you said you were looking, and Marty was like, Marty's been in this like years and that. And Marty, you're actually, what are you, master gardener or what did you say you were? You you did some
I
studies.
studied horticulture and agribusiness at college. So I call myself an agricultural horticulturist because I sort of like I've crossed over in the two, and mostly been pretty much. I've done some hydroponics off and on over the years, and I've never been like a lot of people that are like myself. You know, you get that anti side, then you get the crossover side, or one side or the other. I've always been quite down the middle, but the early days of hydroponics, and this is also with like not aquaponics, but fish farming. There was a lot of problems with the runoffs of fertilizers that aren't being taken up by plants going into rivers and creeks. And what happened is that these fertilizers actually started getting worse from going out onto lawns and things like that. It was the people that were making more of these problems. So I kept on looking into it further and further. And my thing has always been sustainability. Okay, a healthy product that you can get out to someone, because I've farmed, and sold, had the micro farm running. I've had a couple of them over the years. And so I've dealt with everyone from the single customer to big chefs and things. And it's always been about getting out a good quality product that has a less environmental impact. Now, I've been like looking at this for years and years on the organic side, going, how do you solve the problem? How do you solve it? And then you've got people moving in. So you've got the agricultural industry, but they're bringing out, these different regenerative agriculture, which is really great, but it doesn't solve a big problem of a world problem. You can't have agriculture in cities. It just doesn't work, right? And so basically we're moving the food into the cities now. This is the future of farming. As far as if I was going to go and study again, I'd study organics, then I would go and study vertical farming, city urban farming, because that's the way it's going. The data, everything like that, they're testing everything. They can grow plants like no tomorrow. And I'm actually in talk with some companies that are doing something like that here in Australia, and possibly working with them. And I'm really excited. And you would never think that someone like myself would transition across, but it's because it's so clean and so fresh and so quick and less impact on the environment than look, organic gardeners have an impact as well, and they won't admit it. I know, because I've been there, right? And so when you can lower that all down, to me, that's exciting. And everyone is using plastics. It's just how it's done, right? So the guys that I'm working with, they're using a food grade plastic that's got up to 10 years. And, it's a life cycle of a 10-year product, and nothing's coming down on it. There's nothing leaching out of it and things. And, so, I'm really excited about that. And I'm looking forward to actually the change in plastics once we start moving into mycelium and making plastics from mycelium. That's when things really change, right? Because we've got something that we can switch on and off and go biodegrade now or don't biodegrade now. It's a whole new world.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Have you guys ever heard of what you remember back when they first found out about BPA and that, and then there was the scare, with water bottles and them leaving them in the heat? Do you remember them making a couple of bottles out of corn?
Yeah.
And then that just went away or whatever. I thought it was like a cool idea. They were made out of like corn and that, and then they biodegrade or whatever. But then I don't know if it was like a gimmick or what, but it's like it was here for like 6 months or a year or something. Then it was just like gone.
It's more expensive, right? The cheapest option that they found now is the mycelium. So if people don't know what mycelium is, it's the roots from fungi, and they're grown in blocks. So you can actually shape the plastic to however you want. So you put it like a frame around, like just say, for example, you want to make a brick. You can put the mushrooms on top, and then the mycelium roots will come out and fill up that brick. And then eventually you cut the mushrooms off, you dry it, like put it in a place for it to cool down, and it goes rock hard. And then they can actually take slithers off it and make leather and all this stuff. And it's cheap. They reckon it's going to be cheaper than making plastic. So I think that's a really good thing.
We're going to be saved by the mushrooms.
So there's still going to be plastics around. I don't think they can get it right for the real heavy stuff yet. So like a plastic chair or something like that, maybe pipe that goes in the ground that we need to have, like Caleb was mentioning. But we're probably 5 years away before you'll start hearing a lot more about it. But you can look it up online if people are interested. There's a few companies around doing it, and it's in YouTube. You can Google it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the plastics too. I heard that, something like 10 or 20%, of all the stuff, like when we're doing recycling over here in the United States, it gets sorted out that actually only 10 to 20% of it actually gets recycled and used into another product. That lots of it gets sorted out and trashed. And since we outsourced a lot of jobs and factories and stuff, we can't use it here. That a lot of it, so they'll try to recycle it, turn them into all these pellets. That takes a lot of energy to clean them and shred them, sterilize them, press them into that, and then we've got to like ship them off to like China or something, to get turned into another little cheap plastic toy. So the amount of stuff that's going on, like I said, and if we can take something and keep reusing it over and over, and like my NFT system or whatever. I've had it for 8 years, I think. Some of the first ones that I built, I'm still using them in that, and then, but the people who like demonize that, they're over here, using plastic like no tomorrow and throwing it away,
Yep.
And we're using stuff for, we're taking it and extending the life, like, who knows how many, over a decade. So,
yeah. Totally.
Sorry,
like,
guys,
I
Tyler.
agree. I've had the same thing where people have critiqued me for using plastic, but I'm thinking if there was ever recycling, I think that's what we're doing. We're using the same piece of plastic over and over and over again, and we're growing, how many hundreds of heads of lettuce in the same chunk of plastic. So I think it's a great use of it.
Yeah. Microplastics is obviously. I've been reading. Hello, everyone that said hi to me in the chat. I just read the chat, and so thank you very much for saying hello. So I was just reading people talking about microplastics in the chat, and I think that's probably our biggest issue. So if we can move away from the one-off plastics, and this is my concern only at the moment, is that people, if they want to move away from one-off plastics, need to stop buying it. It's the only way. It's the power of the dollar, right? So It's our purchase power. And like I've just noticed that since this, what I was talking about with the vertical farming coming into play, we've got some of it happening here in Australia. I'm noticing more one-off plastics on my shelf in the last 2 years where I mostly shop. And like just a corn, 4 pieces of corn in a one-off plastic. I'm going, come on, I am not buying that. I'm sorry. I'll go into like where there's a pile of corn and I'll grab a corn head out, but I won't buy it just for the fact that I don't want my purchasing power going towards that. But obviously 99% of the world don't care. They complain about it, but don't care because those one-off plastics are just growing on the shelves. So, I don't know how it can be done other than that.
Yeah. Our friend Pepe or whatever, he sells like the microgreens at a market and the chefs and everything, but he's been using sustainable, like biodegradable packaging and stuff. And it's tough. Like I said, it's something cool to get into. And we know we have the ability to do it, but it's just the price, like I said, compared to, plastic so damn cheap.
Yeah.
And for people to actually go the extra step, then that means the end consumer actually has to be willing to pay a little bit more, for a product, so they're not just consuming what's in it, the packaging, is part of that price.
Yeah. Well, what happens is billions of dollars have been put into these systems to put in these packaging systems, and they can't just change them overnight. So basically, as technologies gets better, they grow and they put layers on top. So they've gone, we start with plastics. How do we improve our plastic section or the plastic molding or the way that we're using the plastic? And so they make it a little bit better each time, a little layer goes on top each time until you end up with this continual, because it's cheaper to manufacture and produce and, like bring things out through factories and stuff like that. So that's sort of how it's done. So there's going to be like this. Eventually, there will be this massive shift because it's going to be cheaper to use mycelium. Like I said, it won't be used in everything. Corn starch is used in some areas around here, but they don't promote it. You don't see it being like on the shelf saying this is packaged in cornstarch. You know, they're making packaging. The cornstarch packaging that goes in around when you buy something out of the, you get it ordered online. It comes in the box. Well, the first products that are coming out of that are mycelium now. So they're moving away from cornstarch. They're using mycelium fillers. And so you can just compost that straight away, or just throw it in your green bin, or just throw it in your garden. It's so it's in the process, but they have to actually remove that whole thing or work on the same systems that they've got to introduce that style of, because it's not plastic. I don't even know what they're going to call it, But you'll be drinking out of those one-off bottles, which will last a year, and then they'll just go whoosh, gone. No microplastics, no nothing. It actually becomes a part of the soil web. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Does anybody want to touch on that? Does the number represented on the plastic make a difference, which leach and which don't?
Yes. So there's certain numbers that are potentially worse than others. Again, there's lots of varying information on each one. So PVC, I think, is number 3. There's a number 7, which is kind of can be anything thrown in there. So that one you got to be a little cautious of. There's some that are pretty low on the controversial scale, I guess. So high density polyethylene, I think that's number 4. That one is generally regarded as one that won't leach things out. So it does matter, and you just from the number you can kind of get an idea of what might have been added or what how the plastic was made, things like that.
Cool. Marty, any thoughts?
I think look, I'm really interested in what Caleb found in the studies, because it sort of backs up what Willem van Cottem did many years ago. I think we're looking at maybe 8 years ago or 9 years ago when they did that university study. So it's interesting to see that in some plastics it's not being found in the water, and then obviously there's nothing to uptake. So I don't know what they did in that test, whether they tested the water and the plants. All I know is I've got the test back from the plants that there was no residue found in the plants. So I just think we just got to be a little bit wary of, say, someone makes we're talking about the bottle garden before, right? Mm-hmm. And how it went sort of a bit viral, and now people were making it in the windows, and that all come from Willem's idea, right? So they've just made it better and changed it and become a sort of a bit of a trendy thing. But I think if we have those bottles and they're lying around, I think 1 to 2 years, then just get rid of them. You know what I mean? I think, and what do we do with them? We've got recycling problems here in Australia ever since it doesn't go off to China anymore. And so I think at the end of the day, when we're going out and buying and purchasing that product, we've got to think about it. Like when I buy honey off the shelf now, I buy it in glass.
Right.
I won't buy a plastic honey jar anymore. I've just started doing that recently because I just go, hang on, I'm buying honey all the time, and it's not more expensive to buy it in a bit of glass. So things like that. And I think like what Caleb was saying before, sort of, like the way that this story's come about is, we still have these ceramic options and we have glass options, but they just break. It's not as a strong material, So I think really plastics is still the way to go. And if you look at the big farms that are setting up, they're saying around the globe that are going into the cities and things, they're all using plastics. And they're using things like what you've got, Mike, behind you there as well, It's all different variations. And these guys, they're testing everything, They got the money to go into it. And they're really, really, really concerned about the quality of their product. And the Japanese are doing the same thing with their radical strawberries that you pay $5, $50 for a little punnet of the perfect strawberries you could ever get in the whole world. They're all growing in plastic as well. No one's found another solution yet, except using a really good high grade It's called polymer, is it? The one, the really high grade one? I'm not a plastic expert at all, but maybe you can let us know on that one.
I know one of them that is high grade is the high density polyethylene, HDPE, but I'm not sure if that's the same one you're referring to.
Right.
I know
right,
that's usually the one that's advertised as food safe.
Yeah. I'm going to ask this crew that I'm working with. I've got a unit turning up in a couple of weeks, and I'll be putting it on my show, and I'm going to ask them what type of plastics they're using theirs for, because they're making ones that are going to be out in the sun for anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and that's what I probably will be farming with. I won't be using lights. I'm bringing these big towers out into the sun, So I'm concerned about that as well. But when you put that much money into something like that to release a product, you've got to make sure that it can handle the heat, right?
Right. Food grade plastic. From what I understand, a lot of the stuff that I looked into, the food grade plastics that they use, the things that they were concerned about, releasing, like what were you saying, like phthalates or whatever, however you say that.
Yeah.
But the plasticizers and stuff that they put into the plastics to make them a little flexible so they don't crack and everything.
Yeah.
That they do get released under heat, which like over 100 degrees, and that happens while they're making it. Or, the other thing was acid. And some of the things in food is like pickle buckets are always like in big 5-gallon buckets. If you guys ever, want to go ask for a bucket from like delis and bakeries and that. And there's certain foods that are high in acid, like ketchup and anything with vinegar and pickles and anything that's brined. And that those over time would break down. And that's why they have food grade plastic, is that wasn't added into those. There was some, so they are concerned about it, that they do look into it. It wasn't like somebody made a piece of Tupperware or plastic and they're like, oh, cool, let's use this for everything and put all our food in it and didn't do any research into, what it would be doing. I mean, this is like the whole world uses plastic. So the food grade, the reason why they have food grade, you see food grade and non-food grade, is just that some of the things that they put in to it are like really highly acidic, that it would break it down. But pretty much like, like hydroponics and, and then, you don't worry about it too much, if you're just drinking like water. But basically your stuff where you see a lot of food grade stuff is that they know that, and especially like all the Tupperware and everything you see in the store, they can't tell what you're going to put in it. If you're going to put, gravy, or you're going to put vinegar, or what, what's going to be in it. So that's why you have all the food grade stuff. And like I said, it's pretty interesting. Like Caleb did that, little test and that it didn't show, and I was interested, like I said, if y'all go watch the video, it's linked down below. But like, just a whole list of stuff, that just showed like, like minute, that, way, like I said, either 1/100th or to 1/1000th, of like the allowable level, stuff that's in there. And like Marty was pointing out that some studies I did before was that, the plants, when even if it was there, they're not uptaking it, anything. So until, like I said, it's not a one size fits all. I don't want to just tell everybody it's safe and everybody go willy-nilly and just do it, or start drinking water out of an old tire or something, or but you have to do your own research, and this is some research that we've been doing and looking into, and this is the reason why I use it, and Caleb, you use, it's not the actual downspouts you use, it's the ones that they use like for a fence post.
Yeah,
like 6x6 or a little bigger.
Yeah, the 4x4 fence posts or 5x5 fence posts. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just get a pot. I've got a plastic pot here. I just bought some, and we'll have a look at it. So one second,
Alrighty.
you guys keep talking. I'll grab it.
Let's see what you said. Marty, is that 2 years? If you throw away 2 years life of plastic.
Here they are.
Marty's got a lot of plastic.
And so, like when you go, you've either got ceramic or plastic, right? When you go to the shop.
Right.
and I'm going to be growing food in these. And these are basically got, like so you've got the water well down below, and there's usually a little spill hole where the water can come out if they're out in the rain. So that's some type of resin on the outside. Now, resins are just plastics.
Right.
Again, so another type of plastic. Then we've got a high grade, these are one of the more expensive ones, the home leisure ones, a heavy grade material. These, I've been buying these for years. You get about 5 years out of one of these before they start getting a bit brittle. So, if you buy the more expensive, like the cheap plastic pots, 1 to 2 years in the sun, they had it, they're going to end up being microplastics all around the place. So you've got to stay away from those and spend a bit more money, get something half decent that's, got a good thick thick material. I bought too many. I was going to do this garden for the show. And I thought, oh shit, I've just spent too much money and looking at my bank account. But, like good quality plastic will last quite a long time. And what other choice do we have to grow in other than this or ceramic? And this always seems to win unless you're doing really big gardens outside, like with big palms and things. Then you would go for more of the ceramics. But, that's what I use. And I haven't found another solution yet. I'm always sort of on the hunt. I don't know if that helps anyone, but I just wanted to show you all.
No, yeah, cool. Appreciate that. I'd rather take a minute of risk. I'm consuming less toxins than a trip to town in a gasoline-powered, mostly plastic vehicle. Yeah, exactly. And that's when the people, they're like, ooh, microplastics or something, but then they'll be jogging down the road, right beside all the traffic, inhaling all the crap coming out of the cars and asbestos. All our brake pads over here are all made out of asbestos, and everybody's stepping on the brakes, and that's floating around in there, and they got jogging trails like 2 feet from the road, and they're over there huffing and puffing and inhaling crap, and they're going, "You're growing in plastic." We're like, okay.
Yeah. So really, I think like to place it down, you just got to go the high quality stuff. You just got to stay away from the cheap stuff until these changes come through. So like I said, we've got another 5 years, I think. It might come through early, and then there's going to be another 5-year run. It's going to be massive. You won't see stuff like this. It won't be on the shelf.
Cool. That'd be awesome.
It's cheaper to make it out of something else.
Yeah, it's nice. Giselle said, I like using glass for storing foods. Yeah, we do that too, starting a small hydro plant. And like Marty said, and I'm not like over here saying plastic's the best thing in the world, how to use it. I'm just saying that's, we do things cheap and easy on this channel. We're trying to get everyone involved. If we all could afford, big expense. I made a couple of growers out of travertine and stone, actually. I have a tile saw and cut it, put it together with food grade silicone and grew plants in that. But I can't afford to have a travertine garden, outside or whatever.
You can.
Right. And if you can do glass, and like Marty was saying, if we to get away from plastic, like I said, we're not saying it's the best thing in the world. That we do have a problem with it, but it's readily available. We can use it. But if any step you can take, and that's the only reason why they change is, like Marty said, it comes down to money. If we don't buy certain things and we buy, other products, and as long as we're all out there just, willy-nilly buying stuff like this, they're still gonna be doing it. But hopefully in the future, like Marty said, in a couple of years, that things have changed. I've already seen plates and silverware that were made out of like leaves or some kind of organic material and like just put in a press. One was made out of some kind of grain, and after you were done eating, the guy like just chewed on the fork and just ate it. And he was like, that it was you don't need something that's going to last 10 years, in a takeout meal. But some other countries I've seen them starting already, so it's kind of exciting the way direction we're all going.
Straw, they're making a product out of straw, and they're making products out of bamboo as well.
Yeah.
So, but they still got to use the resins to bind some things together, which is a form of plastic. They don't tell you that.
So, a lady on YouTube who used large plastic storage bins through her whole container garden with soil. Yeah, I've seen lots of people using them. And Keely actually made her worm farm. She had a little worm farm she made with a 5-gallon bucket and set it down and drilled holes in it in our garden, and the worms go in and out of it. And when she gets her compost, she just opens it up, tosses it in. Much better knowing where my food comes from. Yeah, my ground is organic, just meat and rabbits fertilizing. Oh, cool. She's a bushcrafter. Not to mention highly processed foods. Most people eat. Yeah, and one ingredient in food is that nature intended. Yeah. So like Marty was saying, there's a whole lot of things that we got to worry about. And I'm sure if there's something, somewhere down the road, if they do some studies, that they would let people know. It's not like, they're not telling people and they just, like we said, if you go back to the beginning of this video and watch the little intro, and that just kind of shows you how much is actually used throughout all of agriculture, that if they said this is, bad for you, just think about all of, like Caleb was saying, most of our drinking water comes in through PVC. Just go ahead and just Google plastic in agriculture or something and see all the stuff that pops up, and there's plenty of it out there. So that's what I look for things. I don't worry too much. And then I heard stuff like what Marty was talking about and what Caleb just said, that just kind of reinforces it. So I grow in everything. If you're concerned about it, look for food grade. If that eases your mind a little bit, and if not, there's different things you can always use glass. I grew microgreens in a glass container. There's a bunch of things that we can do. So for people to come on and I understand it. The fear-based thing, just saying, oh, it's plastics, because we have demonized it so much. Like especially over the last 10 years. So, I don't get mad at anyone, but it's just, I don't want people just spewing stuff without anything to back it up and turn people off to, actually growing some of their own food, because somebody, just heard something somewhere on the internet.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
To Caleb. So Caleb, sorry mate, I haven't seen your channel, but I'll have to go head over there and have a look. So can you give me a bit of a rundown on how you're growing yours? Like you're using some type of plastic piping similar to Mike, but something to do with fencing, I heard. So can you tell me a bit more about that, please?
So I have several rail systems where you take a fence post, put the caps on, seal them up, and then I have a pump that pumps water into one side of them. The water travels down the first fence post. Then I have a fitting, or basically a bridge, that goes over to another fence post. Then the water goes back the other direction. And so you can add as many of those as you want in a row. I mean, up to 4 is probably max you'd want to do. So then on the tops of the fence posts, I drill holes, and then you can put your plants growing up on the top. And so I've grown a lot of greens that way. I've been experimenting with strawberries, which actually works better than I thought it would. I'm trying things that you probably shouldn't try, like tomatoes, where, oh yeah, there's a shot of it there, me cleaning it. So yeah, I'm just trying to grow a whole bunch of different things in it, and it's amazing how many different things you can grow in one fence post.
Yes. So when you bring the benefits forward, the space that you're using compared to conventional gardening, I can see there's like about 10 holes in each one, so 10 planting spots, right? And
yeah.
On a square foot, you're able to actually probably grow more than what someone possibly could in the ground. Are you finding, how much water are you using in your systems, if you don't mind me asking?
It's very little. So I have around a 50-gallon reservoir for 4 rails, and so I refill it every 2 weeks or so. So I mean, 50 gallons of water in an outdoor garden, you can do that in 2 days on a hot day?
Yeah. this is my concerns is because, you know, like, again, saying being in sustainable agriculture is the fact that water is becoming more scarce, and that we places that can't farm now. And say, for example, if you're a home garden, you're having a micro farm like me, or you're going big scale, you're using up to 9, you know, depending on obviously the system that you're using. But, you know, anything can be, you know, the lowest they get is like 5%, 95% less than actually in-ground water. So that's exactly the same for whether you're a backyard gardener or you're a micro farm like myself, or you're in large scale, you know. So I think it's really interesting. And I've got a sort of a question for Mike as well. And for yourself, Carl, do you feel that the mineral bases are getting better in hydroponics over the last few years? Like, is there breakthroughs going through in this technology, or is it sitting at the same standard? From what I can see, there's breakthroughs going through, but I haven't been in the hydroponic game as long as you guys, so I'm really interested to know. And I feel that maybe the audience would like to know too, Mike, if you don't mind me asking that question.
No, cool. Do you want to go, Caleb? You want to give your thoughts?
So you're saying, has there been breakthroughs in the technology that we use for hydroponics recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I'm noticing the most is with the lighting, because if you're growing indoors, and like me, I'm trying to grow in the winter where I can't use the sun really, the lighting is the biggest expense, and if you can't justify that expense, it's not worth it. So now with LEDs, they can really pinpoint the spectrums of light that the plants need, and then there's almost very little heat that's given off, so the energy usages come way down. So I think that's one of the biggest areas of advancement.
Yeah, but from what I'm seeing, because I've got some hydroponics here that I bought a year or two ago, speaking with an Australian company, and it's made here in Australia. It started with an organic product, then it's turned into inorganic minerals. But they've got all the micro minerals in there that I was chasing before as an organic farmer, right? And so that like excites me. I'm going, hey, well, these minerals are actually that weren't available years ago. They're starting to, you know, different silicas and things like that. You know, the minerals that you'd find in rock minerals are turning up in these systems. And I think that, like, you look at your plants there, like they look great, man. I just want to dive in and have something to eat.
Yeah, it's great. It's just like a little
Serves
salad
me
bar.
up, I reckon.
That's cool. This video is from Caleb's channel, and that's pinned the comment at the top, and it's down in the description below. Y'all go check out his channel. Yeah, Marty, I don't like, as far as like nutrients. I tried, you know, a lot of different stuff when I first started, and you know, when you first go to a hydroponic shop, they want to tell you this and this and this and this, and you know, and then I started with deep water culture, which you got to fill up, you know, like a ton. You know, it's not like just filling a bottle for cracky. And I was going through a lot of money, you know, with nutrients, and I tried a lot of different things. But then when I found Master Blend and calcium nitrate with Epsom salt, that I can order a 25-pound bag for like $40 or something, and $25 in shipping or something like that, and it lasts me. I mean, we use so if I use 10 to 12 grams, you know, for a 5-gallon bucket, you know, I'm talking about like 400 portions out of a pound or whatever. So, you know, you're getting a load of nutrients, you know, not getting the liquid formula, and ordering that way. And I use it, and it worked well. So I haven't really tried different things. You know, I tried a couple of, you know, I just ordered MaxiGrow, because it's, you know, when I'm telling people, I want everybody to get used to, you know, growing food. And, you know, so I've seen some people doing this. Have you tried this, Caleb?
Yeah, yep.
General hydroponics. And, you know, if they say you can just use this, and then I don't have to tell people about mixing, you know, blend and ordering calcium nitrate and keeping them separate until you do it and all of that. If I can just say, put a teaspoon of this in or something, that makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to try a couple of different things. And, actually, I think
So So that's an A plus B. Is that what you're saying, Mike? So it's got the nitrogen, higher like says. There's a good NPK balance going right through. You don't have to add an A
Right.
and then a B later when it goes into flower or whatever. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And this, I don't know, and I'm not sponsored by these people or General Hydroponics or anything. It's called AgroThrive. And I just ordered this. Y'all can get, this was free. Y'all can go, I don't know if the thing's still going on, but you just had to pay for shipping, was like $4.95 or something. And this says organic, and it says on their website that you can use it in hydroponics. So, I want to go ahead and give that a try because it's, I've had wonderful success with Master Blend and I love using it. But people are always going, well, organic. And up till now, I haven't found anything organic that I use that didn't go anaerobic or, it really didn't work. So, I'm excited to give that a try and see how that does.
This is the thing, though, right? This is what I want to come from an organic gardener's point of view, and I think a lot of people would appreciate that. Was actually be that and I'll grab the bottle in a second. I've got one here. I'll grab it right now if you don't miss. It's right behind me.
Okay.
And show it to you. It's the one that's made from an organic product and turned inorganic, and I'll explain why. The process.
Cool, Ken. Yeah, Caleb, all that looks fantastic.
Put my headphones back on so I can hear you guys. Yeah. But this is mostly for an A nutrient, right? So you can get another B, but you can grow straight in this, like the one that you were showing before. It's an Aussie brand, and you can't find it anywhere. And the guy just at the hydroponics shop pointed me in that direction because I grow mostly leafy greens with it. But it's got all this, all the silicas, like silica nutrient uptake, minerals, activated amino minerals and things like that. And that's, that's sort of what interests me on a health perspective of when you're eating food is how far do you want to go to get that type of those minerals in your food that we need sort of thing, it's like an example of when you have vitamin C, you need iron in your body to uptake the vitamin C. So sometimes you might need a certain mineral or something like that to help another mineral uptake. And that's, that's a whole new science from horticulture. Again, you've got to become I don't even know the name for it. Maybe you know, Caleb. But, it's and then if you break down, you go through here, it's got all the amino acids and things like molybdenum, boric acid, amino acids, silica acid, colloidal minerals, all these things. And plus, you've got your magnesium, like you were saying, for sulfate, your calciums, and you've got your NPK. This is a very high nitrogen one. I think it's a 20%, 8%, and 18% for the. But I don't know this company I'm going to be working with are going to be using these type of minerals, but that's what interests me because I'm interested in the flavor that's going to be coming out of the plants as well. So that's why I was asking before about the movement of the production of these things getting better. And as I said, this is made from an organic material turned inorganic. And I asked them, I said, why? They said, we tested both, and the plants uptake an inorganic material much easier. They get better results.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And guess what? It comes in plastic.
Yeah. It's all in plastic.
I don't know what time.
Give in the bag. So this the little free sample too. They give you a little coupon for like $5 if you decide you like it. That came in with it. So kind of give that a try when I get time. But yeah, I agree. This is what I planted that out a little while ago in the thermos. I did a little video, but that's still going, so that's pretty cool. It's a little cracky. That's kale.
Nice.
Have fun with all the different things we can do. It's awesome. Let me pop your video back on for a minute when we're talking. That was pretty cool, Caleb. So people can kind of follow along. All righty, cool. Well, we're over an hour. Anybody have any final questions and everything? And where they're putting questions, that looks awesome. Oh, your videos are awesome, Caleb.
Oh yeah, thanks.
So you guys make sure you go over there and follow him if you're interested. If you notice he's growing indoors, and that's a little NFT system. It's just cool. When they're popping up, any final questions in that? You guys got any final thoughts on like what we were talking about, or did we kind of cover everything?
No, I think I've covered everything that was in my mind. If anyone's got a question for me personally, I'm happy to answer. Did you pay for that? Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah. Look, to be honest, I pay for nearly everything that I've got because I very rarely go with sponsor deals and things. I just don't want someone to tell me what I got to say. Right? A bit like I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'll pay me money for it. Generally, 99% of the time. Yeah.
Right, that's
Oh
me
yeah,
too.
non-sponsored.
That's people ask me. I get tons of stuff in the email and this and that, and people just bother you all the time. And but it's I don't work well with others. I like to do my thing. If it works, I share it with everyone, and I just don't want to be, you know, and that's fine. I know a lot of people that do it. It's just and that's why I work for myself. If I have a problem working with other people and that, so I've been self-employed for like 20 years, and so for somebody to say you have to do this or you have to do this for your videos, or I'm just like don't have time for it. Look at that. I'm just watching all the lettuce go by. But if y'all are interested in that system, see, we do things cheap and easy over here. I try to keep things just simple, so everybody can get involved. And like we share, our community is awesome. I love them. They share this stuff out to people. I get DMs and messages from people I don't even know how they found me or whatever. But and some people never find the way back here. So as long as we take information, what we're doing, like Marty said, that we got to get, food. There's a lot of people that don't know where the next meal's coming from, but like vertical farming, getting food into like these food deserts and that, this might be, the way, they're in the middle of the city. They don't have, acres to grow plants in that, but they can go vertical and they can get systems like this set up. And, I think that if people learn that it's not that difficult, it's not like a science, that somebody can set up the system and you just need a couple people monitoring it, and you can have a community growing all of their own food. And this doesn't have to be in like rich, neighborhoods and that, poverty stricken areas and that, if we can get the government involved in things too, and then people just start, doing things like this. The chains and everything, the grocery stores aren't going to like us though.
Yeah.
But that's what we need to get towards. It's like after the war here in America, 70 to 80% of like households or something had what they call a victory garden. Was it, because all our resources were going into the war and that, and people were actually started growing their own food, and then we got lazy after that, and now I said we need air to breathe, water to drink, and food, and most of us depend on somebody else for our food. And for people like Caleb is there growing a salad bar in his house, that's just like blows my mind. So it's something, Caleb, tell people how hard it is, or is this something normal person can do?
Oh yeah. One of the main goals of my channel is to make it simple. That's why Simple Greens Hydroponics. So I want it to be something where, like you're saying, where now I see it all the time where there's a lettuce E. coli outbreak or something like that, and that just knocks down the whole supply chain for lettuce. You can't find it for 2 weeks. But just think if we've got people all over the country that have salad bars in their basement or in their extra bedroom,
Right.
even if mine didn't work for a day or something, I could go over and see my friend who has lettuce. Like just this year, I moved to a new house, so I had to take my system down and everything. But I've got a friend who set up a system, so then they offered to give me some lettuce. So, just think of how we could be so much less dependent on a single system for delivering produce to the whole country if we're kind of demodularized and spread out. So yeah, this is definitely something I think anyone can do.
Can I just say something? So the brassica species, like I can see a lot of lettuces and things here, but there's a lot more you could go into, especially like Asian greens, all the different brassicas and mustards and things like that.
Yeah.
there's around about, I think there's around about like 150 types of plants you can grow in hydroponics, right? So really, you know, you're just touching the edge. You can go any way that you want, right? You can go like lots of leafy herbs and things as well. You can go
Yeah.
all together, or I know you can't have kangkong in some countries, but it's an amazing Asian green that just grows like no tomorrow.
Dude, I love it.
It's one of the best food producers around that I know of, and it grows really, amazing in hydroponics. Unfortunately, it's just illegal in some places. But
Yeah, I had
there's
people
lots
asking me for it.
yeah, so many options. You know what I mean? And I think it's like, as I said, I was someone that was sort of a bit sort of like on the edge of the fence. I never had anything against it, but I never went in that direction. But now I feel that the way that's moving, hydroponics has a very big forward progression going on. And it's like you're saying, it's fairly simple. It's much easier than people think, right? Like, so Mike's got the systems where you're just going in the crack key things, and I haven't told anyone, I've got a couple of crack keys going at the moment, Mike. They're sort of like hidden away. I haven't put them on any content or anything, but it's I think, and stuff like this, like Kayla, you would be probably getting around a 3-week to 1 month turnover, would I say, for a big head of lettuce? Would that be right?
Some of these big ones are closer to 6 weeks, but I have so many that I can pick one every day.
Yeah. So but a baby leaf you'd be harvesting within 2 weeks for sure, right? So you can actually, so you've got some baby leaf growing, then you've got some semi-matures, then you've got your matures. And look, to be honest, a mature lettuce never makes it at my place. It's done and dusted. I was about halfway through.
Yeah.
That's what someone asked me. I've got like the vertical thing. My next video I'm doing is just all kale. And they're like, do you eat that much kale? Like, yeah, it's not. I mean, kale, if you cook it down, doesn't cook down to that much. We like to eat it raw. I don't grow it till it's like huge and really tough, where you have to really cook it, So baby kale, which kale used to be like cheap. That was like garnished, right? They were like giving it away at the grocery store like 12, 15 years ago. And now they're like, it's a superfood. And now they're going baby greens, charging you $4.99, $7.99, for a container of like, and if you can grow it, you're saving a ton of money, but it's also, it's peace of mind where your food's coming from. And just having it out there, like Caleb was pointing out, most of it's not getting pushed to the back of the refrigerator. You go out and you get excited, you buy a bunch of greens and you eat some, and then you ended up throwing it in the compost pile. You leave them growing, you get what you want. And like I like to do is just keep it going in succession, keep growing different things. It's an awesome system. Once you get the basics of it, it's just cool. And like I said, I wish everyone out there, could at least try it. That's why I advocate like the cracky thing, because that's a good place for people to just start and experiment. You have fun with that, and then say, okay, I want to step up from here. I've seen a lot of people like go in and spend a ton of money and something didn't work just right. They didn't catch something, and then they're like, oh, this doesn't work, and then they're putting stuff up for sale.
Yeah.
But so start small, and you can be doing stuff like that, in no time, and then there's no turning back after that. Once you start growing your own and eating it, then you go in the grocery store and you just get mad.
Oh yeah, yep.
Remember, you've got the microgreens. So this is how I do it. So we've got microgreens, and you got baby leaf and mature. And it's like I said, hardly ever a mature makes it to my place. So I'm basically eating mostly microgreens and leaf microgreens. So, but I'm like the leafy greens would be like a long sprout or something like that, that might be a snow pea or something. It's not actually classed as a microgreen. It's more of a baby leaf. But I'll be harvesting Mizuna, baby spinach, some nasturtium flowers, some little rocket flowers off the rocket that's aging. So that would be classed as a mature plant. And then just putting it together. And I walk around and I go, I've hardly touched anything. And I'm a small space guy, right? I've got a little micro garden sort of farm thing going. And I'm just like, I don't have that much going. How can I have so much on my plate? It never makes sense to me. I'm just scratching my head all the time, and then just going back and, and you can actually produce faster food more efficiently in these systems than, or sometimes roundabout similar to what I'm doing. But the new way that they're going, and I think which really interests me, is actually the aeroponics, where they're just spraying it on the thing, and they reckon they're getting faster growth that way. So, but that's much more difficult and not something that probably needs to be brought up here, because they'll go, aeroponics? Oh no, let's do that. And then it's like, oh, failure.
Thinking, how I can do that. I've seen some like that, a whole farm set up where it's just like a whole wall of like either styrofoam, plastic. They got all the plants on it, and behind it's just spraying the roots at different intervals.
I think you could do it, Mike. I had a guy sent me a book, an ebook about vertical gardening just recently, and they've got like something like 500 books online, or they're like a gardening company. Anyway, I won't get into them, but what they showed me was one of these. It's like a big pipe that goes along down the bottom, and about round. I don't know what the diameter would be, and then you've got 4 verticals coming up and slots going down. Right, so you can slide the plants into the slots,
right,
and like a cube or something like that, and find a place to place it. And you have a pump going up, and so at the top you just have a head and like a little shower cap, and it just goes, and it just runs down to the tank down below and just goes up again and goes. It just runs a little timer. So very simple, really, in all reality. If you understand the basics of plumbing, I'm hopeless with DIY stuff, but
oh yeah, I'm gonna try and build one. I actually ordered a little pump.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too hard to do if you sort of played around with it a little bit. It's just a matter of getting the sprinkling right and the timing right, and it'd be something that I think maybe people I think you'll see it on YouTube in the next year or two. Someone will start DIYing those things.
There's plenty of them. That's what me and a couple of people over on TikTok too. I got a TikTok channel. I was live over there and we were talking about it. And what I was going to do is start a challenge. And because some of the ones that they have out there, they cost a lot to make, or they take a lot of time because they're actually cutting all these slats and heating them and bending them and or putting fittings on them. So you have to buy like the plumbing fittings, that like a 3-inch one and a 3-inch neck cup will fit in it. So they're actually cutting it and gluing all of these things on it. But we're gonna do something a lot cheaper and something that's easy for people to use, and that's what I was gonna do like that. I mean, if you guys, once I started, I was just gonna challenge a bunch of gardeners. If anybody wants to like make it, and we could all like set a time where we like make our own tower gardens, and then we all drop our videos like on the same day, and I'll say, here's mine. Now go check out Caleb's and go check out Marty's. And, we all have, what we came up with.
I'm not a DIY guy, mate. I'm hopeless. I'll break up after the I'll be up the road hiring me plumber, mate, to make it. And that would be wholly against the whole point. But the company that I'm talking with at the moment, they're Aeroponics company. So
right.
I'll probably, so it's a bit hard for me to make a DIY one, but I'm going to be displaying a product.
Oh, yeah.
It's going out to the market. And
that
one
you get
is
to working with them and going, by the way, here's like, you can do it 10 times cheaper. And they'll be like, Marty, what are you doing?
Yeah, and they are, and that is, it's not a sponsored. I'm not getting paid, but they're sending me some stuff to trial and that. But it's not so much to show everyone. Sure, it'll be a part of my content and everything, but it's more about what it can do, the benefits of it, and then, my point as a customer, probably if I was buying the thing. And then looking at the farming side of things, like how can it be scaled up to start selling to restaurants and stuff? Because I've already got restaurant orders. They're like, we're in lockdown at the moment, so all the cafes are closed. So as soon as things open up, what's happened is that a lot of the guys like that are selling to restaurants and things, they've all pulled out and they've all just barred it. And I'm just going, perfect time to come in, because they're telling me they're not getting the people delivering. And I'm going, well, I'll deliver. I'll do it. Yeah. As soon as things open up, I'm ready. I'm ready to lose a bit of money and then just walk in with a better product. And and so that's one of the reasons why I'm looking into that. And that it grows quite quickly and things. But I think overall, as beginners and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm sort of more along the lines of what you guys are doing for the moment, because they are quite expensive. I think $700 for the unit that I'm getting. Not everyone can afford that,
Yeah, they're a little expensive. Like you said, it pays for itself after a while. Just the amount, especially with the price of produce and that right now. It'll pay for it, but the upfront costs, so that's what Yeah, I'll try not to interfere with. We'll make one cheap or something.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I think the big debate here is like you probably want to head off, Mike, but I think the big debate here is like inflation. You know what I mean, and food, and that's another reason why I'm pushing the food thing harder is because it's not going to be too bad here in Australia, but it looks like a lot of parts of the world are going to, it's getting more expensive here. Like I noticed in the last year, 10 to 15% more.
Kind of a wake up call here, like when we went into lockdown, and like all of a sudden there wasn't like a lot of truck drivers or whatever, got sick and stuff, and for the first time in like our lifetimes or whatever, you walked in the grocery store and like half the shelves were empty. So it's a little bit of a wake up call. It's stuff that you think would never happen. That it's like in a movie or something. All of a sudden you walk in and like people are like beating each other up for a thing of toilet paper or something. So. We got to be prepared for anything.
Yeah, so food security is definitely a big thing. And so something like what Caleb's got there with that rack, there's a lot of food coming off that. There's more than you need, I think, there, Caleb, right?
Yeah. We would sell it or give it away to our friends or family.
Yeah. So just about anybody can do this. Guys, I really appreciate it. I know Marty, you said thanks for popping in and that. I know you said you got to pop off, so we're going to be wrapping it up. Caleb, it's a real honor meeting you in that, and I hope to see you again. We're going to be doing more live streams here. Everybody, thank you for tuning in, asking questions. I hope we brought you some value, made you feel a little bit more safe about growing hydroponics. And you guys, I'll go ahead and cut stream off here, but I'll pop in the back and just say bye to y'all for just a minute. And Keely, thank you for moderating that. And everybody, we'll catch y'all later.